Hi to everybody. Happy New Year. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Charlene Mertz with the Nisus Corporation. I've been with them actually 7 years. I'm starting year 8 here in about 2 weeks. So it's been, man, it's like, I can't believe it's been, I'm starting year 8. It's amazing. It's amazing how quick it's gone. So this is my contact information right here. Hang on, let me turn this on. This is me. This is my cell number. My email here. Some of you guys are real good about using that, reaching out to me when you have a customer that you need to get an answer for straight away. I do my best when I see it's you guys to get you an answer as quickly as I can. So please continue to do that. I encourage you to do that and let me help you support your customer. That's what it's all about. I want to touch base on nisuscorp.com and Nisus TV. I think I brought this up last year, but I want to revisit that, especially just revisit and then to new information for the new people. Okay, so nisuscorp.com is our main website. It's a very user-friendly website. The Nisus.tv is a plethora of short clip videos. We add to those regularly. So for the customers that learn a little bit easier, or they can actually see somebody spraying or foaming or whatever the case is, whatever the project is, that's where you would send them, is to Nisus TV. So on our agenda this morning, we're going to obviously talk about this a little bit more. I've got some new products to show you about. I've got a cool looking little box right here that I'm going to do a demonstration with our foam fresh and show you a little bit about that. I want to touch base on the boron and borates, what they are and the basics. I know it's kind of repetitive for those that have been in here for a while, but for those of you new to it, it'll be good information. Remedy for overtreatment residue. There's a couple things I got with Jill. She sent back an email with a few things that wanted inclusive in this class, so I have included them in this class. One of them is a remedy for overtreatment when you're using bore care. You'll see like a white residue. Bore care outdoor treatments, and I actually did a project at my house that I've got photos of that I'm going to walk you through, an opportunity to upsell your customer or at least encourage them to take the steps to protect what they're building. All right, and then of course we're going to touch base on the beetle side. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask me, and I'll try to answer them as quickly as possible. Like I said, it's an hour-long course, so we've got to keep things moving. So back to the website here. So this is the front page. It's very user-friendly. Hard to read because it's a shot from my cell phone, but Pest Professionals is up here, and it's also right here in the center here. So if you click on this Pest Professionals on this page 1, it'll take you right to the portfolio of products on page 2 that go horizontally across, and your customers just keep clicking on that arrow to go further across. This is where if they need a spec sheet, if they want to order labels, SDSs, if you need those labels and SDSs, technical bulletins, worksheets, anything like that, very user-friendly, all to the left, okay? On your Nisus.tv, up on that top bar when you have Pest Professionals, if you click on it up across the top here, it'll take you right to Nisus TV like there. Or you can actually go to Google and punch in Nisus TV, and it'll take you right to it as well. So this is just I'm getting a little crazy with the clicker. This is what you'll see when you go, if you haven't gone to Nisus TV, and I don't go there all the time, but every time I do, there's more videos on there. There's a lot of stuff, and we add to it constantly, just like you guys do to keep up with your growth and so forth, so needs of your customers. And the longest one that I've seen on there is like 18 minutes for a pre-treat with bore care. I don't think there's anything longer than that on there, and then there's some real like 30 seconds, the tips, the TruTech equipment that we sell, the layout of the tips. It's from A to Z on there. So that's enough on that. Now, brand new, and I brought me some hand props as well. This is Eye Strike. This is imidacloprid. It's 4.5 to 5 gallons of foam out of the can. It's a 25-to-1 ratio, so it's not super, super dry, but dry enough that it's not going to be going everywhere. It comes with the 2 tips. Our marketing strategy is Carpenter Bees. So imidacloprid's been on the marketplace forever. It's in the neonic family. So 3 to 6 month residual is the biggie. Carpenter Bees are a category that I think it's our target with this product because there's some other products on the marketplace that offer the active in the foam. So we're not going to drive that product. I'm driving mine. Hopefully work with Jeremiah on getting this where it needs to be situated on your website to sell it. But that's our brand new one, okay? We talked about that. Of course, you've got your, in conjunction with the Carpenter Bees, ants, termites, and beetles as well. So spot treatment.
How long do you recommend holding down the sprayer for each beehole?
Depends on, what you want to do if you've got a carpenter bee, if you've not ever seen one, they're like perfectly drilled, and when they drill in and they do immediate turn. So what you want to do is put the nozzle on the end of shake it up real good, put the tip on, and put it into the hole, and then try to cover that hole as best you can to keep driving that foam in. It's only a couple seconds. I mean, yeah, you'll know it as soon as that foam pushes back at you. It's full, and there's actually you don't have to plug it. You don't need to plug that hole either. But that hole, what happens with the foam is it fills that whole void. You'll see that in this demonstration with this drain. Foam is phenomenal to work with. Not as common as sprays and so forth, but definitely more effective. So Bacchusap you're familiar with. Let me brush on this. So Bacchusap 7-strain microbial blend. It's designed to knock out a foul odor and then consume what's causing that foul odor. So you guys have been selling this for a long time. You do a great job with it. It's a fabulous product. Foam Fresh, what's on the picture there, this is Bacchusap in a can, literally. So you need to start shaking that can for me, please. He's my Vanna today. So a couple things. When we pack 12 to a case and it comes with the straws, he's got the top on there of the straws. You'll see that in just a second. No foul marks out. No. One straw per case or one straw per can? Well, we pack 4 in a case, but if you guys need extra straws, just you know how easy I am to get along with. Just give me a shout. Just some ideas of where you can use this. All right, put a bug in your ear here. So sinks, mops. Now listen, keep in mind too. It's a spot treat. It'll instantly knock out that foul odor. So what it does is it consumes what's causing foul odor. So remember efficiency, because Bacchusap is the same thing, right, in a liquid form. So it would be ineffective cost-wise if you're selling product to an animal clinic and they've got bad smells and feces and flies and roaches and so forth in the back, and where they keep the animals overnight, and they need to clean that. Too costly to take that Foam Fresh and do it. They would want to buy the Bacchusap, make their own foam, and then foam that area. Follow me? Or they could mop with it. There's options. Sinks, urinals. When you guys miss, yes, you do. Let's go back to that. When you guys miss. All right. Organic matter, remember now, I had a guy, my guy in Birmingham, my Univar rep out in Birmingham, took the can I gave him and cleaned his tires with it. Yeah. Here on, the vents on the car, trash cans, litter boxes, disposal, sinks, showers, toilets, you name it, it cleans it. All right? I don't know, the last time you scrubbed your trash can, think about it. I don't do mine, because you know why? I have ample supply of Foam Fresh and Bacchusap. Smelly shoes, gentlemen, ladies that work out, you know what I say. Anybody got a dog? So think about that. Think about that. That's organic matter, right? So my cat overeats, decides to give a little back, gets a hairball or whatever. I pick up the chunks. I spray it with Foam Fresh. Boom, done. Piece of cake. Now for the demo. Did you shake it up good? Mm-hmm. Don't let me down.
One more time.
Okay. So this is the aerosol top that it comes with normally. And so you can just spray it all over. It's not going to hurt him. And see how quick it dissipates?
Shower. What?
Shower what?
Okay, you want to shake it up without the hose, right? Remember I just told you a minute ago, you want to make sure that you're going to block the exit port. So this is our mock drain. This is a 20-to-1 ratio. It's super, super dry. Fill this down in here. Towel that's what I've got to work with, you guys. We want to check it out. But see how the foam fills all the sides? Isn't that cool? So when you see how it's coming back out though?
Oh, yeah.
Because I just got a towel, but what happens is, and doesn't hurt you. It hurts you not at all. It smells really good. Now watch this. Watch, 20-to-1 ratio.
Oh, wow.
So when your customers call you, this is what I told Jeremiah I was going to talk about this. When your customers call you and they got a foul odor somewhere, they got a foul odor in their drain, or they got fruit flies, or they got this and that, this is what you want to drive them to. Absolutely. So you get about 1.5 to 2 gallons out of each can. And one of the questions that I get constantly is, well, how many drains can I do? It depends on, there's not a solid answer to that because it depends. There's some variables. The biggest one in a drain would be the growth that you have inside that grain, the scum buildup. So it really depends. You know what I mean? Because typically in a house you've got inch and a quarter, inch and a half drains. But the reality is, if there's buildup so bad in there that they have a slow draining drain, it will not eat hair, so they need to clean that out, like in the tub. But I use this for maintenance. Once I dry my shower out, I'm OCD. I dry my shower out for 12 years. I've been in my house, and every shower I've taken at home, I've always dried everything in the shower out. Right? I still take this and do the seams just to keep it super clean. So that's this. You guys, okay? Let me move on. Thank you, Vanna. Okay, but that's a cool little display right there. It really kind of tells the story. And see, you got gears going back there, Jeremiah, huh? I like it. Anybody want some candy? You know I love to throw candy. Okay. All right, let me just touch base on Dominant. This is Nisus is, years ago now severed ties with Taro PCO, Woodstream. That Taro PCO is still a phenomenal bait. It's just not mine anymore. We changed things up a little bit in a few ways. One, we added sodium benzoate. So if you have a customer calling for Taro PCO and they've got aged product or it's not working or it's actually coming in as amber color, whatever the case is, that's a rotation issue with your distribution branch. So what happens is as the Taro PCO ages, it loses its efficacy. It's like having that piece of whatever on your counter. You're not going to want to eat it after it's been sitting there and got stuff growing on it, right? Same thing for ants. Once that bait goes tainted, and as it gets to more thicker brown, it's time to discard it. Okay, so we added sodium benzoate, which serves as a preservative so that it minimizes the opportunity for that discoloration. So i.e. it extends the shelf life, stays more palatable for the ants. Other than that, the formulas are pretty consistent. We enlarged the station by 25%, so there's 25% more product per station. We also offer 2 extra stations per box. So instead of getting 30 per box, 25% less, you get 2 extra stations, 32 stations, and 25% more product. So cost-wise, it's right there. It's a snap-open station, so you don't need any tools now. So if you take a station out of the box, I'm talking about the package of 32 stations. You'll see this perforated section. You want to hold it up before you snap it open. Take and just tear that little perforated area. Don't rip it off. It serves as a little lock device on that station. But it's real self-explanatory. You hold it up. It's draining the whole time. You tear the little perforated area so that it's just kind of loose, and then you snap it back with your thumb and lock it back and place it. Label up. Label up. Okay? How's that for moving swiftly through? Any questions? I'm just thorough, aren't I? I love it. Not my first rodeo. Okay, for those of you that are new, how many new people do I have? Okay, cool. And you're taking copious notes. I like it. I like it. This is what boron looks like when it's mined out of the earth. 5 locations in the world. Boron, California is actually the largest. Well, I don't know if it's the largest mine, but 75% of the industrial boron used comes out of Boron, California. The city's actually named Boron, and it's on 20 Mule Team Drive. It's got a real neat history. 20 Mule Team Drive, just like you see right there. Boron is in just about everything. It serves as a bonding agent. It's in your fruits and vegetables. For those of you that just had some salad, you just ate some boron. So, and if you ever take a look at, the actual ingredients of different products, you'll see a percentage of boron in there. So it's very common. It's essential to a healthy life, if you will. So it is a mineral salt, which means it doesn't break down. So when you apply that product, whatever product is that has a boron in it, we're talking about borage in here as far as pest control. I'm getting to it. But once it's applied, it's there until it's consumed or physically removed. So please remember that as well. This plant is boron deficient. This plant is boron vibrant. All right? So, and those of you that who had salad? You're looking so healthy right now. All right. So layman's terms, well, you're clean and green, right?
That's right.
You're killing me. So you have boron mined out of the earth. What's a borate? Layman's terms, when oxygen's mixed with boron, certain parts of it and so forth, it becomes what's known as a borate, right? So in the marketplace, we have 3. I'll come back to the mode of action. Let me come here. The borates. So you have boric acid, borax, and DOT in the marketplace. They're all borates, all mineral salt, no known resistance, there until they're consumed or removed, endless residual. That's the nice part about it. There's a trade-off, like when you're using borates versus synthetic pyrethroids in your protocols, your pest control guys are, or even your homeowners. If they're expecting to spray this roach with a, whatever, if it's boron based, or if they're expecting an ant to eat dominant and just drop over, probably not going to happen. Mode of action, who knows it? What?
Through the stomach or something.
Man, y'all need to speak up if I ask a question. I'm just telling you. It's participation class. Correct. Mode of action. It's a stop feed, stomach poison. So what happens is that bug has to get it in their system, and it shuts down their metabolism, so they can't metastasize anything, and they starve to death. Layman's terms. The difference between that and a synthetic, if you're going back to what I said a second ago, if your customer's looking for the thrill of the kill, they might want a synthetic, but the trade-off is a synthetic, there's known resistance, and it doesn't last that long. They're going to kill that one bug, but if they've got one bug, they might probably have more bugs, and how long do they want that kill? So, and your cost is 2x when you start looking at synthetics versus borates. So this is your boron content here, 56, 36, and 67. Boric acid, acidic, corrosive to metals. A lot of people that buy, and I know borid is FMC, I think that's gone. Boractin is the one that's on the marketplace now. That's 99% orthoboric acid. It's a great product. It's an acid, though. It's corrosive to metals, and it is not water soluble. And I don't care what song and dance you hear about that. Boric acid is not water soluble. I've got a video. I'll show you. I think I blocked it out to save the time, but I'll turn it back on and show you. So corrosive, not water soluble. Borax, this is my dominant. That's at 5.4%, that yellow box that we were talking about, that yellow product. Per label, you can add water to that and minimize that amount of active in it. We do offer it in a 1%, a true 1%, but you can add water to it and minimize that amount of active to kill a larger population. So therefore, it's water soluble. It's non-corrosive. DOT, disodium octoboric tetrahydrate. This is your boric here, your Timbor, and your Nibor-D. They're all the same active. The differences are the packaging, liquid versus powder, and then the label, of course. So, but DOT is a combination of these two, and one balances out the other. So, but now you have non-corrosive, water-soluble, you can spray, mist, foam. You can mop with it depending on what product we're talking about. So it's completely versatile. They all have that mode of action where it's a stop feed. Any borate does. Whatever overcoat package it has on it, whoever's making it, if the active is a borate, it's a stop feed in a story. Okay, this is boron California here. So let me see. I do have it. Good. This is, for those of you that are not believers, that this is going to show you that boric acid is not water soluble. Okay, and the little measuring thing that you see in this video, this is it. Just remember, one of these scoops is 1%. This will all come together at the end. Pretty soon, actually. Is everybody in suspense? Do I need to tell a joke? I won't.
We're comparing boric acid to our Nibor-D formulation, our DOT formulation, how it each mixes in water. We'll first show how boric acid, standard boric acid, mixes in water. As you can see, it's clumpy. It does not go into a one-phase solution easily at all. However, our DOT formulation goes into one-phase solution very easily.
He's kind of a matter-of-fact personality. Pick up on that?
The DOT formulation will stay in a one-phase solution. The boric acid solution will not improve.
See the up here, and there's parts per million in that water between those two layers, but it's not consistent.
And it's further mixing.
Y'all digging it? Have you met Reed yet?
It's very opaque, whereas the DOT formulation, you can see through the glass layer.
Can I get an amen? Amen. All right. See, I don't lie. That's Dr. Reed. Don't bring him. Is that what you're trying to say?
He does a really good job on the NIBOR video.
He's phenomenal. He's our he's PhD. He's on staff, and really cool guy. And I mean, just knows his stuff. But he is kind of a matter of fact. Yeah, he's straight up with it. One of those videos, he plays a guitar on there. I have any guitar players in here? I mean, he's just kind of off the wall. But anyway, so my point on that, you guys, if you're looking at, if your customer calls in and they need something, they're wanting a borate base. I was in one of my small stores. It's called the General Store over down in Holiday, Florida, last week, and a customer came in looking for borate. And anyway, I didn't say anything. I just listened to the spiel. But that lady left because he didn't have any boractin. Like, she wanted boric acid. And you're going to have those that are stuck on that boric acid. But be inquisitive and say, hey, what are you doing with that? Do you realize the differences between, DOT and boric acid? You might be able to, upsell them to a 5-pound instead of a 1-pound. And you might open some doors for them to, that they might realize, oh, gosh, I get more for my money. They're really looking out for me, those people over there do my own, which I know you guys do. I'm just trying to tell you how, as a consumer, what they're thinking, So give them the option. So you've got the liquid and the powders. Again, the powders are going to be your Timbor and your Nibor D, and I refer to them as cousins. The Timbor, which you're familiar with, the Nibor D, which you're familiar with now. You should be anyway. Those are cousins. And then you've got your liquid, which is Boracure. If somebody calls in and they're looking for, there's a lot of projects. You guys move a lot of Boracure for me. There's a lot of different projects. It's not just for pre-treats. It's for remedial and prevention as well. All right? But you've got your Boracure is your standalone for pre-treats that has the glycols in it. It makes it the Lexus of the Toyotas. And then your powders are going to be your Toyotas. So the active is the same. When you look at this Timbor, this is at 98%, just as Nibor D is at 98%. When you look at this label, this is at 40%. So, and it depends on how you're blending it out and what you're doing with it. And that the labels, labels the law. The labels break down 1 to 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 5 to 1, depending on what you're doing. If you're doing a Timbor treatment and you're doing termite work, you got to mix it at 1.5 or 15%, which is a 1.5 pound bag to a gallon. That's why Nisus went from 1 pound to 1.5 pounds. So you've got your clear, you got your white odorless. This is 12 pounds to a gallon, by the way, so very heavy. So these in blue, not a soil treatment, raw wood treatment, phytotoxic and hygroscopic. So on the hygroscopic, wood is hygroscopic, which means it pulls the moisture in. Boracure is hygroscopic as well, and that once it dries on the surface of a piece of wood, it will actually, if humidity's high or it rains, or if a termite tries to tube over, that moisture level will actually reactivate those glycols. And what it does is it pulls it through that piece of wood. I've got a picture that will really demonstrate that for you. All right. So phytotoxic means it's going to kill any vegetation that it hits. And in in the next few slides, when I show you the opportunity for like decks and gazebos and so forth to use as a preventative, I'll point that phytotoxic out again. But raw wood treatment means it can't be, if you have an antique table and they've got issues with it, either dry woods in it or whatever, the beetles in it, whatever, they either have to sand that down and get it back to raw wood, or they have to inject that Jecta product and get it inside so that it can work from the inside out. Any of these borates have to be from raw wood type of treatment. All right, it has to be able to get into it. So there's a lot going on in the screen, but I wanted to point out to you guys, because these are products that you guys, they're all related in some fashion. So Boracure, you're familiar with. Jecta is a highly concentrated version of Boracure. Comes in a 300 cc caulking tube, can be applied with a caulking gun. You can also transfer it to a syringe or whatever you can get quite ingenious with it to meet your needs. It's a messy product. The label's kind of tough. So if you have a customer that needs to use that particular type of product, have them call me. let me help that customer walk through that and figure out what they're, because the label's going to tell you inject so many cc's into this hole and drill this and drill that, and it's dimensional on the wood and the boards and so forth, and there's just no way to measure it unless you're using a syringe type of thing. So I've been out in the field. I've done museum work with dry woods around 200-year-old door casing trim work that you can't take out, to piers on a stilt house. So I've used it a few different times, but that's what that's about. The Pentashield, if you've not sold any of that, what this is a product. It's a 5-to-1. So as if I took 5 gallons of water and 1 gallon of Boracare and blended it out. So that's kind of a ready to use. So if your customer comes in and they don't want to buy a whole gallon of Boracare, or they're not wanting to go through the blending process, because it's got the consistency of molasses, so it does take a little bit of a process and a drill and so forth to blend that out. If they want something ready to go, you want to sell them the Pentashield. That's what that's about, 5-to-1. And then these are your powders down here. You're familiar with Timbor. Any questions on any of these?
How much of the 1 gallon Pentashield will that cover? If you were to mix it at the 5-to-1.
You wouldn't mix that now. That's already mixed.
I mean, I'm sorry.
If you just put it in, it depends on you. There's some factors that fall into play depending on your your sprayer and your tip and so forth. But usually about 400 square feet. I'll check it with the label, but normally when we blend out the Boracare, it's either 400 square feet or 200 linear feet. So your Timbor comes in the 25-pound pails and the 1.5-pound bags. You guys have any questions on that? You know what it's about. 98%. You're mixing it. You can mix it at 10%, but if you're doing termite work, it's got to go to 15%. At 10%, you've got to do 2 applications, and it does not have general pest on that label. It has carpenter ants, fungus, and your termites, okay? And then the fungus, by the way, when you start looking at DOT as the active in all these products, the fungus that it kills and controls is your decay, not your surface. Decay only, brown rot, white rot, soft rot, that's it. And the first thing they need to do is correct the moisture problem, okay? So when you look at Timbor versus Nibor D, obviously the packaging is different, but I can do everything on Timbor I can do with Nibor D, but I can also do general pest. So I literally can do ants, termites, silverfish, darkling beetles. Somebody got a poultry farm and they've got darkling beetle problems, that's what you want to sell them. Somebody got fly problems in their restaurant, Nibor D is what you want to sell them. Completely versatile. Dust, power dust, liquefied foam, and mop with this product. This is it. Now, you see I've got 3 sizes here. The reason I brought these little props, it comes in a 5-pound pail, a 15-pound bucket, and then a 5-pound box of individual half-pound packets. Remember I told you a while ago that, how much is this worth?
1%.
Correct. And when you start doing, if you read that label and our scope of service on flies and roaches and so forth, it's based on a gallon of water and a 5% solution. So how many scoops do I need for 5% solution? Man, you guys are good. I'll throw a handful of candy now. Over that way. Over that way. Man, they put some kitty cat. Oh, hey, here's all the Reese's. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay, so here you go. In a 5-pound box, you get 10 half-pound packs. This is equivalent to 5 scoops. So now I get out in the field a lot. I do hands-on training with my pest control guys, and I'm here to tell you, when you're doing roach work, you want either a 10 or 15% solution. So it'd be 2 or 3 packs. If you guys sell to some restaurants and stuff that do their own thing, that's fine, no problem. But tell them, let them know, and there's actually a video on our Nisus TV that you want to take the gallon of water, either put in 5 scoops or 1 packet, dissolve it, and then add your next set of 5. It just dissolves easier than having to vigorously try to, get in there, because you don't necessarily have to have an impeller for the powder. For the liquid, you absolutely do. It will not blend properly. So, but that's what this is about. So it's convenient, it's quicker, and it's more on the money. It takes less space on a truck as well. So, but it's nice. I'm an options girl, especially as a consumer. I like my options, and I need to make the best decision that works for me, right? So your customer is no different than that. So, but
How much is the scoop?
1%. What's that?
It's not the
The bucket, no, I don't know what scoop's in there. I know there's a scoop in there. On the NIBOR D, on these two right here, it'd be this is the scoop that goes in there.
Okay.
But I'm not sure what,
To make a 1% solution, so how much product is that? I'm sorry?
when you're doing pest control with the NIBOR D, not Timbor,
Right.
take that out of the conversation. Takes you off the label if you do.
Right.
One scoop is 1%.
4 ounces. I think that's what she said.
Right.
No, actually, if you want to get technical with it, this is half a pound of product. So 5 scoops is half a pound, or 2.5 cups in volume. So if somebody lost a scoop and bought the bucket and they need to know how many cups they need, it's 2.5 cups to a gallon of water.
To make
To make a 5%. You're never making a 1%.
So how much product is in 1 scoop? That's no
1%.
How many ounces?
Well, it'd be two ounces because you got 5 scoops, right? If you got an 8-ounce packet and that's 5 scoops, isn't that right? This higher math is killing me. Grab a calculator. Am I not right on that? You got a half a pound and it's 5 scoops. So it'd be 2 point something ounces. You don't have to worry about that because because they have to go with 5% or greater. For general pest. Using NIBOR D. You know what I mean? I love your scarf. Any other questions? I've thoroughly confused myself, you guys. Way to go. All right. So remember I promised you a picture to show you how the glycols work. This is a crosscut of a 2x. You've got a fresh spray. And this is just a spray that there's a curcumin spray is what it's called. And you can if a board's been treated with borate, you can spray it on there and it instantly turn red. Now you don't sell it. I don't encourage you to try to sell it. People go nuts with that. You don't need to know. I'm sharing in our confined room here what that is, so you know we're all on the same page. But this demonstrates that there's borate sprayed on there. But this is over time, the moisture content of the wood will pull it'll pull that product right into it. And I don't know if you've ever sprayed Boracare or not. On the label, it has, there's ways to do it. Treat all sides, and if you can't treat all sides, you've got to treat it at 20-minute intervals and 2x and all this other stuff. I mean, labels are the law. A lot of people don't like to read labels. They like to call me or you and say, "Hey, how do I do this?" You know what I'm talking about. They do that all the time to me. So we've got different varieties here: liquid, spray, mist, foam, brush, inject, dust. The dust would be the NIBOR D or the Timbor if you're dusting an attic. Your base would be your dominant or my Niban. Those are boric acid is the active in Niban, and then borax. We're a borate-based company. We have kind of ventured out a little bit, trying to get away from the niche stuff, if you will. But questions so far? Ma'am, you're good on that? Okay. So again, just a kind of snapshot of the whole thing here. These are all the different critters that kill and control the DOT. All right, your fungus, again, is decay only, you guys. A lot of people will say, well, I have, a surface fungus, I have mold or something in my crawl space, and I took that Timbor and just blasted it, and it took care of it. No, it did not. I don't want to tell them that and be like that, but I'm just telling you that they can do a couple things with it. So, one, they can use the Boracare mold care, or they could use, some product like the DSV to actually kill that surface mold and then come back and put a preventative on there with the Timbor or the NIBOR D or the Boracare. Look at, wow, superstar. All right. I'm sorry, you guys. Forgive me. So this is for the remedy of overspray of Boracare. How many of you guys have had customers calling in on that? A lot? Holy smokes. Well, that's good for sales, right? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, well, so I'll elaborate on this if I need to, but this kind of tells the story. Hey. I'm sorry. Howdy. Okay, so what we'll talk about today is overspray residue from Boracare, and what your customer might see as a weight buildup. Piece of cake, don't let them panic. A little bit of elbow grease. You get a bucket, get warm soapy water, the warmer the better. And have them scrub it. The longer they've let it sit, the more back they need to put into it. Back into it. didn't even cuss. That was my sexy voice. Did you like that? Yeah, baby. It's on my phone. I'll send it to you. I sat in my hotel room. I thought, well, I need to do something a little different for these guys. And I took 60 takes on that. Finally, I had to prop up on this thing. It was fun. You get my point, though, right? So my point, takeaway, put some onion into it, Scrub it off. The longer that, if it gets on a tub, in a pre-treat, when it gets on fixtures and stuff like that, they can either wash it off. If they're going to let it sit for a little bit, they got to go in there and scrub it off just like that. But that warm, soapy water breaks it back down. That white residue comes right off. So this is, I have this in my pre-treat class, and I put it on here specifically to let you guys be aware of this. This is as if I stood there and literally sprayed Boracure, answered a few emails and whatever. This is complete overspray. It's crystallized. So if they do something like that, if they're spraying something and they've got a crystallization of it, they have really, wasted their time and money. And they'd have to probably take some kind of knife or something and scrape that off. Some kind of, like a putty knife or something, and then take the soapy water and try. I don't think they're probably, that's a dye on there, so in a pre-treat that you're using colorant, that's not going to come out. But in normal, they're not going to, with their remedial jobs or whatever they're doing, they're not using a colorant. So that white residue buildup will come right off, okay? And again, I encourage, if you have a customer that keeps calling you back because they can't get it, just send them to me. I'll take care of it. Tell them to pound the sand. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Preventative treatments, I take great pride in this, you guys. Bam, look at that. All right. For those customers that are doing gazebos, decks, any wood structures outside, it's a water-soluble product, correct? Which means if you leave it, if I treated those boards with Boracure and I just left it to be, remember I told you a while ago, physically consumed or physically removed. Possible to physically consume with the bugs, not practical. You know what I mean? It's more possible and probable that it could be washed out with rain and so forth, right? So this is my backyard, and what I bought bamboo composite decking. So what I did, and it took me all summer, every weekend, 20 hours a day. I mean, not 20 hours a day, 20 hours every weekend. So what I did was I'd go to Lowe's and I'd load up my Xterra with the wood that I could fit, and I'd get it home. This is actually, it's not a pool, it's a swale. So that's actually gravel. So before I built this, I did this whole side, and it goes all the way around, and then the lower deck over there. But so basically, here's what you tell them: get their wood. Pressure treated wood is already preventatively treated, but there's no utopia. If you've ever seen a deck, decks as they wear out over time, there's a life. We're all glowing at some point, right? So the reality is, what I've done is just give it an extra protective shield with my Boracure. So I would take those boards and I'd lay them in my swale, even pressure treated, brand new boards, and because I have the product, I went ahead and mixed it 3 to 1. Preventative work is always 5 to 1, 5 gallons of water to 1 gallon of Boracure. But I physically, I blend it with the impeller, put it in my little backpack, put my PPE on, go out there in my little backpack, spray everything. Then I stacked it up, and then I'd put it together. And then after it dried, time?
No, I just had a question. When we shot our Boracare video, when we were spraying pressure-treated wood, we noticed that it would beat up and just start to roll off the wood, and the wood would not soak that up. Is that a problem that people are hearing, or is there...
It's normal that it will beat up, and it does that on OSB board too, with the wax or whatever they put on it. But it'll still penetrate. It's going to beat up like that. Just spray it. No, you don't need to stand there and keep spraying. You just hit it and go. Point of wetness. It's going in. Believe me, it's going in. The pressure-treated lumber, it's not a have to, because it already has a shield on it of protection. This is just extra. The money that I put into that composite decking, there was just no way I wasn't doing it right. For me, to give it that borate treatment was right. So, in answer to your question, yeah, that's normal. That's normal for it to beat up. It did it on mine as well. I just leave it to dry. So anyway, once it does that, because it's outside, you have to lock it in some fashion, which means you either got to seal it or stain it or paint it or something along those lines. Well, that's what you see here. So I went and at Lowe's, and I had them blend some of that outdoor paint to match as close as I could to that composite decking, and I physically painted every board just like this. Now, it's questionable. You don't really need to paint. You can see, I don't know how good you can see it back there, but you see where I've got the gray and then the board under here. I didn't paint the entire board down. My thinking is, and I could be wrong, but my thinking is, with the protection I have with this composite and the fact that that's underneath, it's not gonna get any pounding rain. And the only place these boards are gonna get any pounding rain that it would actually even start to break it down would be between the seams of those panels of the decking. So that's painted. You follow me? So even think about like a gazebo or a deck where they're not putting composite board on it, but they're just actually gonna stain it or urethane it. They're still, underneath there they didn't do. But it's still got that borate protection from bugs and whatever else, whatever critters get under there. So that's the deal. And then bam. Now I'm here to tell you I got no more money. I have no furniture on it. It'll be another 2 years before I get furniture on it. But hey, man, I got a deck. That's that. So you guys, but see, there's an opportunity there, even for my pest control guys. Every class I give, and I'm talking about borates, I'm like, don't put a blind eye to being outside doing a perimeter treatment and not see a deck or a gazebo or something going up. Offer to preventively treat that. You know how much incremental revenue that is for minimal work. I mean, it killed me because I'm one person with damaged goods, hands. My hands, I've had surgeries on and stuff. So, but there's money right there. That's money, and it doesn't take a lot. 5 to 1's nothing.
Would you just suggest reapplying whatever the stain or paint you're using says as far as like when you should reapply to keep it sealed, or is there a specific time frame that you guys normally suggest to make sure that your finish isn't breaking down to the point that it would actually start pulling the board care out at that point?
Yeah, if they have like a walk pattern or something like that, probably every 3 to 5 years. But what some people do, like Reed, Dr. Reed you saw in that matter of fact video, his deck in Tennessee, he sprayed with Boracare Mold Cure, and he didn't stain it. He said, I opt to just treat it every 3 years with it, 3 to 5 years, because he knows that the rain and so forth is going to break it down because it's water soluble. So that's an option. But you have to like that weathered look. I personally don't.
I get customers that ask about board care like on their fences,
Yep.
fences, and I always tell them they need to seal it in some way, shape, or form, and then they typically ask when should they worry about resealing it or anything like that. So 3 to 5 would be.
The sun's going to break down that seal. Over time, it's the UV rays that breaks down that seal. So it won't, if they reseal it every maybe 3 to 5 years, like I said, depending on how, if it's like my house, this backyard, the sun just beats the living tar out of it. It faces the south, so I get up and down, Front not so much, but the back. And I mean, I could literally restain my fence every 3 years to keep, but I didn't borate treat it, so it doesn't, for me, I need to, actually Irma got a hold of it, so I got a little bit of work to do. But if you choose not to put any stain or anything on it, just retreat it every 3 to 5 years with the borates. If you choose to stain it, you might want to go ahead and restain it every 3 to 5 years. So.
On that, so you've stained it. It's been 5 years since you've done the stain. Can you apply Boracare afterwards?
No, raw wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's before you get going or not at all. And so if you borate spray it, and before you stain it, like by the time I got to my deck to go ahead and lock that in with that paint, it had exhausted the minimum 48 to 72 hours, up to 6 weeks. You want to get it coated to lock it in. So, like I've got another section I'm doing around my boathouse right now that it's, I'm 4 weeks out before I even think about finishing, even building it out to paint it. So it's time, but. The window to get it sealed or locked in from 72 hours up to 6 weeks. It's best to do it.
Within 6 weeks.
Yeah, within 6 weeks.
With something like Barker, they still have the option of whether they want to or not?
Correct. You know how
They
the
would have
weather
to
will get it,
reapply
and
within at least 3 years.
well, I mean, if you have a deck and you treat it with Boracare, and you say, and something, just time gets away from you, and before you know it, like time does, we're almost in February already, it's lapsed to the end of the year, and you're like, oh, geez. If you've had a lot of rain that year, you might want to hit it again just while you have it open. It's always answer prevention, man. Because to sand that.
Once you seal it, application of Boracare is done, but if you don't seal it, you can apply Boracare as needed over the year.
That's correct. It has to be raw wood.
Right.
The boric here is not going to, and it doesn't affect the paint, the stain, the urethane, none of that. It doesn't. I know firsthand because that's what I did. So.
If someone applies it and it's real sticky, then it's basically they've either applied too much, like if it's been, say, 4 days and it's still sticky and dark.
It just hasn't dried right. I mean, it's just not thoroughly dry. I'd spray the boards and lean them up against the house, and when I come out to work on them the next weekend, some of them would still be a little tacky. It just depends, because if you stack them and then the inside of that board's against this other board, and it doesn't have the, or even when you're laying them down and you're spraying them, and I was going to touch base on that phytotoxic. You see all that vegetation I had around there and stuff, but I laid them in the swale where I had nothing but rock. It also kills weeds real good. That's off-label. I'm not telling you to buy it as a weed kill.
If someone's on like a time kind of crunch, let's say that they're, they applied the boric here, but they have to put the stain on the next week or something, and it's still sticky, could they do like a light sanding?
They don't need to. They could just go ahead and stain over. It should be fine.
So it won't be sticky?
Yeah, why would they apply that? That stuff's not cheap. They shouldn't be over applying it like that.
Well,
They don't.
someone had these columns in their kitchen, and so they had put the boric here on, and it was 2 weeks later, it was still sticky. And he said, "This is in my house. I want to put stain on it, but I don't want it to be sticky to the touch."
Did he blend it? Did he dilute it out with water, or did he go straight out of the gallon?
No, he diluted. I think he over-applied it is what he did. But
Huh. If that's the case, I mean, if that's the case, you guys, just have him take that wet, the wet towel. I wouldn't even put a whole lot of soap on it. Just take a warm, wet towel and just wipe it down. Let it air dry. So let me touch base on these beetles, and really, because we're almost done. So you guys, reinfesting and non-reinfesting beetles, okay? The ones that really you're getting the calls on are going to be your powder post beetles, lictid, anabid, and bostrichid. Yeah. At least you didn't cuss at me. What's wrong with this thing? Oh, there we go. All right, so the damage variables, it's either going to be, depending on the beetle, it'll be either, hardwood, softwood. Some will go to hardwood and softwood, like your anabids. Environmental conditions, and then moisture content. It could be that, a lot of, because what's happening is hardwood floors, cabinetry, real cabinetry. I've been in houses that have some issues. That's brought in. And it wasn't either kiln dried right, or it wasn't stored properly. People carry in beetle, during the winter, you're making fires. You got firewood outside, and you're bringing in excessive firewood. Guess what could be in that firewood? Beetles. And now you've introduced it inside your house. There we go, it's working again. So I've put this out in the center of the table. I've got labels on that. The eye strike. I've got my business cards. Please take one. Reach out to me when you need help. And then the last one is this little index card here with the different exit holes. These are exit holes of the different sizes. So your lictid's going to be real small. The anabids, they're pretty close, but it's going to be a little bit bigger. And then your bostrichid are going to be these big dudes, right? Old house borers are your ovals. So that's just kind of a reference thing. Here's where the rubber meets the road. So they have complete metamorphosis: egg, larva, pupa, and adult. But here's the thing. Your damage is done underneath the top of those boards. So your customers are not going to be seeing the beetles themselves. What they see are the exit holes, the powdery dust, the frass. So your lictids have that frass that's real, like talcum powder. Your anabids are going to have that talcum, not as soft and fine. It's going to be a little bit more gritty, but still a powder. All right? So true powder post beetles on the lictids, what happens is, let me get to the main stuff. That's not it. Here's a good shot of the frass. Real powdery. When you see a lot of the kick-out holes, like I've got a couple pictures coming up here, and it looks like just shotgun holes. It's tiny ones, though. We have cool pictures of the beetles. Here we go. This is on bamboo. This piece I took. This is a photo I took. This is a board they had. See all these little holes? It's like speckled. This was a piece of wood that they had at our sales meeting. We talked about beetles up there in the sales meeting as well. And I thought, perfect, I'm going to put this in my class. And so I snapped a picture of it real quick. This is the kind of damage, this is what your homeowner will see, and then they'll be like freaking out. Because they've got an oak floor and they see all these holes. Well, can you use boric here? Can you use boric here on that if it's been stained?
No,
And what's better, the powder, Timbor, or Nibor D, or Bore Care? Why? Man, this is a good group you got here, dude. The other thing you want to know, the other thing to remember, we never recommend powder on hardwood floors. 2 reasons: it will leave that powder residue, and you'll have post-emergence longer. So let me go back to the life cycle thing. So what happens is they see the exit holes, which means the adults have already come out. They mate. The males and females come out at the same time. They mate, and then they deposit the eggs on a crack and crevice, a sliver in that wood, whatever the case is, and they get it just underneath the surface. The eggs hatch, they burrow down, and they start to channel. And that's when, depending on the severity of the damage, can depend on, and where it's at, can depend on how bad that, if you've got to replace everything, if you can just spot treat that one area or whatever. But you want the Bore Care to get down into that, have the glycols carry it in. And you will have post-emergence for a while. So typically, the challenge is different generations of larvae down there doing the damage. And the thing is, once they go into the pupa stage, to come out and actually, come out of the wood, exit, and then mate again to deposit more eggs. So once they hit that pupa shell, it's kind of like it serves as a coat of armor, and you can't do anything to them. It's done. They're coming out, and they're going to mate, and it is what it is. Game on. They're going to get busy. They're going to put a little onion into it. You want to edit that out there, Paul? All right, so we're about done. You guys got to go back and take orders on Bore Care. Just kidding. Questions? Jill,